What paranormal events have happened to you that you can't prove? No one will believe you. This happened just recently and I'm still shaken up. I was in the shower and my brother was supposedly on his way home. It was quite late at night. I am not a paranoid person at all. I do not believe in the paranormal and was not jumpy or scared whatsoever when this happened. I heard the hallway creak very loudly, as it does when someone is walking down it. The hallway can creak on its own though, so this isn't shocking in itself. I peeked my head out to make sure I had locked the door when I heard and saw someone slam their fist into the door twice. Saw, as in the door actually moved. I saw it with my own two eyes. The door moved. Anyways, I yelled at my brother to cut it out, heard him respond, at least I thought, and the hall creaked like someone was walking away. I finished up my shower and walked out. I was met with total silence. Nobody was home. Nobody had been home. At first I assumed my brother had pulled a prank and was hiding to scare me. So I went and got dressed. As I was in my room, there was still total silence. He wasn't there. I started to have a panic attack, called my parents, my brother, and my neighbors who came to come check the house for me. For a second, I genuinely thought I was going to be on Dateline Murder Mysteries or some stuff. I've never been so scared in my whole life. My theory is that my brain heard some more creaks while I was looking out, assumed someone was hitting the door, and maybe made my eyes fill in the blank. Like maybe I just thought the door was moving. IDK. All I know is, it scarred me for a few days. And nobody in my family or friend group believes me. I don't even think I believe myself. This wasn't me but my dad. When my dad was younger, he lived in rural Pennsylvania, in a small neighborhood. Nearby, there was a creek that he and some of his neighbor friends would go to just hang out or play with toys. One day, my dad and one of his friends went down there and they saw someone there. My dad said he thinks it was a man, across the stream. It was strange because according to my dad, he never saw anyone else go down there, it was only just him and his guy friends. Keep this in mind, the stream he estimated was about maybe like 10 to 15 feet in width. So my dad and his friend are just chilling, and out of the corner of their eye, they see the person is gone from the spot they were in and now on their side of the river. The stream was obviously too wide for someone to just hop across, and my dad swears he didn't hear a splash or even footsteps. So my dad and his friend just took one look at each other and bolted. They came back days later and continued heading there like normal, and anything like that never happened again. I've had two weird experiences as a kid. I still remember pretty clearly. First experience. I wouldn't exactly call this paranormal, but just something strange. So the house I grew up in was built in the 1900s, maybe 1920, so it was already pretty creepy. I remember very clearly there was a blackout in my neighborhood. I guess I found blackouts amusing as a child, so I started running around the house in the darkness, probably playing with my sister. I ran into the dark kitchen. In our kitchen, when you walk in and face towards the sink, you'll see a little nightlight plugged in. I remember seeing a white figure almost like an angel standing in front of the light. I screamed and ran out. I still don't know what I saw, whether it was really a figure or the light playing with my eyes. I'm also pretty sure the nightlight wasn't on during a blackout, so maybe I did see something. Second experience. A little more creepy. I was home alone with my older brother while my parents took my sister to see the eye doctor. It was stormy during that time. We were on the computer when suddenly we heard a door slam open. We knew exactly which door this was. Our house had two doors at the back. A wooden door at the back exposed to the outdoors and a heavy metallic door on the inside. We always lock both doors when we go out, so I'm 100% sure it was locked. The door that opened was the heavy metallic door. Me and my brother, of course, thought our parents came back, so we called out to them. When no one answered, we grabbed whatever we could find in case someone was breaking in. We went to check and saw the metallic door was wide open. The wooden door was locked. No windows were open because of the stormy weather, and I'm sure even if a window was open, the wind wouldn't be able to open such a heavy door. I just couldn't find an explanation as to how a heavy metallic door that was locked could unlock and open with such force. It still creeps me out today. Around 8 months ago, my brother and I pulled into our driveway after shooting pool with some friends. It was around 2 a.m. when we went to get out of the car. Something ran behind the car. It looked like either a werewolf or a dogman. At first, I thought I was just losing my mind until my brother hit the lock button to lock all the car doors and asked me if I'd just seen that too. It was about 5 feet tall and was covered in reddish-brown hair. It was incredibly fast and it ran with its shoulders raised and head kind of tucked down. It was running on 2 legs. We stayed in the car for about 2 hours before we finally got the courage to run inside. I've never told anyone because I didn't want to sound crazy. My friends, D and K, and I were at K's house for a sleepover. We decided to play with a Ouija board. For some reason, it only seemed to work when I had my hands on it. While D and I were playing, K swore that she saw a face appear behind me. At that same time, across the room, one of those old lamps that you touch, tapped to turn on, turned off by itself. Fast forward a few weeks, we are at K's house again. It's late at night, we are goofing off in the kitchen, and K and D both see red eyes outside through the kitchen window, and then all 3 of us hear a loud man's voice calling K's nickname that we made up and no one else knew, and we were the only ones home. Being terrified, we ran upstairs. I was the last one up the stairs and I felt like something was at my heels the entire time I ran up the steps. We finally calmed down and went to sleep. All 3 of us woke up with scratches. K and D had them on their chest, mine was on my arms. Coincidence? Maybe. But still unsettling. Here is a rather scary paranormal story from my childhood. I will try to describe the events as best as possible, but even to this day, I really have no idea what happened. It took place at a late night during summer. Not sure how old I was back then, but I shared a room with my brother and we had one of those old bunk beds. Good times. We played some Mario Kart on our old SNES for pretty much the whole evening. As it was getting late, our mother came in and told us to get some sleep. For me, it was always hard to sleep during these hot nights, even more with the nightlight that our father installed in the room. My brother, on the other hand, had no trouble at all and was out right away. As the night went on, I was there in my bed thinking about some stuff when I suddenly heard a faint noise coming from above. You must know that I always slept in the bottom bed while my brother was above me. So it is not unusual to hear something from him. However, that noise was really weird. As if someone was scratching on a blackboard really hard. This went on for a few minutes until I punched the bottom of the upper bed and told my brother to stop it. And yes, the noise suddenly stopped. There was a scary silence for quite some time afterwards. I got really tired and went to sleep until a loud bang woke me up again. My brother fell out of his bed on the carpet before me. Surprisingly, that guy did not wake up from this and was still sleeping like a baby. I know he had some deep sleep, but this was insane. Trying to wake him up also ended up being a waste of time, so I went back to my bed in order to finally get some sleep. However, this was not the end of it. Shortly after, the strange noise started again. Coming from above, just like before. But this time, it was not just someone scratching on a blackboard, but also some very faint and rather disturbing groaning. Who on earth could it be when my brother was lying on the ground? I was really scared, but in the end, curiosity got the better of me. Went out of the bed, got on the small ladder, and slowly climbed it to reach the upper bed. Will never forget what I saw there. An almost transparent hand was reaching out of the wall and also scratching on it. Before I could do anything, this thing went in my direction and tried to grab my head for real. I lost balance and fell on the ground below, next to my brother. Paralyzed by fear, I ended up lying there for what seemed like an eternity. This was too much for my small mind to understand. Only much later, I finally managed to stand up again. However, there was no noise anymore. And the hand was gone too. I checked. The next morning I told my brother what happened, but he just laughed and shrugged it off as a bad dream of mine. Our parents also didn't think too much of it. We children have a lively imagination, so it's easy to explain for them. But it felt way too real for me. Later, my brother got his own room and we didn't need the bunk bed anymore. There also haven't been any other weird events afterwards. But something is still haunting me to this very day. Why did we find some scratch marks on the upper wall when we renovated the room a few months later? During that time, we had no cats or any other animal. So this is actually something I've thought about for a long time because I'm not really sure if it was paranormal or not, but it's something I definitely can't explain. When I was 6, my family lived in a really normal suburban 2-story house that had just been built before we moved in. I have really fond memories of that house and I never felt threatened there at all. However, looking back on some memories, there are some things that don't seem right to me as an adult. One memory was of a particular fake plastic princess cell phone my brother and I used to pretend call with. We would sit next to each other and take calls from imaginary friends. Normal. Here's the kicker though, there were a couple instances where we heard a man's voice's answer on the other side. I know as 6 and 7-year-olds, we could have easily just imagined this, but I clearly remember back on hearing a very clear male voice. And when I ask my brother about it now, he remembers the voice as well. Another memory that I have, which also may be explainable, was the music I always heard coming from the walls. Now my family is very musically based, with my dad and older brothers playing guitar and my mom playing the harp and piano, so when I told them about this, they easily brushed it off saying that I was just probably hearing sounds being carried through the walls from other rooms. I would say this too if I hadn't been hearing the music in the middle of the night. I remember I used to love it because it was such peaceful music to be woken up to. I had a ritual where I would fall asleep in my bed, wake up to the music, press my ear to the wall and listen for a few minutes, then head to my parents' room to crawl into their bed. They would be asleep, my siblings would be asleep, the house was asleep. Everyone except for me and whoever was playing that music would be asleep. I used to live by a children's playground. It was always said to be haunted by the ghosts of several children who died in a fire in the houses around it. It was one of those things people would say when you walked past it at night to scare you, so nobody ever took it seriously. I've always been into the paranormal, I do Ouija sessions when I can. I explore abandoned buildings, so I believed the story off the bat, but never went to investigate myself. The playground and houses are separated by a footpath that leads to a supermarket, so I'd find myself walking past it every other night to get things from the store. One night, it was maybe early December, I was walking past it and I noticed the swing set moving. I didn't think much of it as it was also a hot spot for teens at night, but then I noticed a little girl in the park. My first thought was, whoa, a kid has wandered out from their home. I went straight in to talk to the girl to see if I could help. By the time I got to the swing set, she was gone. Okay, so now I have a little girl lost in a playground at night, I thought. I investigated a little. No sign of the girl, so I went to call the police to help. I got my phone out, but then someone ran past me. I put my phone away to maybe catch up to whoever it was, assuming it was the girl. But nothing. At this point, I'm certain it's nothing, just the dark playing tricks on me. I go to leave the park. I turn to look once more. All 4 swings are swinging, there's children on all of them. I don't hesitate and fleeing bolt out of there, maybe it was my mind messing with me, but I know what I saw.